Hello and welcome to Just Like Me. Today we are interviewing Hannah Gilly from the UK. And I want to thank Hannah very much for being our first interviewee, our first community member that you're going to get to know in a very intimate way. So thank you for being with us this afternoon, Hannah.
That's all right. I like being a guinea pig.
So we're going to just take some time over the next hour to get to know Hannah as a way to get to know each other as a community better. So I'm going to be interviewing quite a few members from our community, and I think it's going to be a really nice way to get to know our community better. So I'm going to start by asking Hannah how she arrived here on the membership site, what led her here, and basically how long she's been a member.
Well, I'm going to start from where I came to yoga because it wasn't that long before I found you that I started practicing yoga. I'd had a rough few years. Nick and Nick, my husband, and I weren't really sure where to go. We'd also had a bit of a fracas with the family, not believing me, wondering why I wasn't getting better. So we sat down, it was Christmas 2011, and said, let's really investigate this ME and where we can go from here. And we read a few books, read a little bit online, and one of the books about a man called Alex Howard. He's actually got an ME clinic now. He's recovered, and he'd written this book once he'd gone through the process. Others understand his story. One of the things he said was, I did yoga every day. And another thing was, I practiced meditation every day. So we really thought they were two things that I could probably manage by myself and really get to grips with without investing too much time and effort traveling. So I found a yoga teacher nearby, and she came to me once a week for about 6 weeks. And the first week totally freaked me out. We did sitting poses, we did twisting, and then I laid down in Shavasana and burst into tears. Totally relaxed, totally letting go. And I'd never known anything like it. The only way I let go before was really quite horrible because I have epilepsy. And I knew if potentially built up, I would have a seizure.
Right.
So letting go where I was in control with Shavasana was actually just a totally new experience. It was really scary because it didn't go any further. And I think if I hadn't paid her for 2 weeks in advance, wait, I'm not doing this again. But it worked. And every morning I would put the mat out. She'd lent me a mat, this swarmy, smelly old thing.
What a sweetheart.
And I did a few cat poses. I did a little bit of child's pose. I didn't stand up. That was, no, not totally out of my depth. And then I would lie in Shavasana. I recorded a little bit of yoga music on my iPad, and I did 7 minutes every morning and then 9 minutes in Shavasana. So that's 6 weeks. Brilliant. I'm not paying you anymore. You're really not my kind of teacher. She was the kind of teacher who would sit there, let me do a pose, and then put her feet behind her. And that wasn't me. So I went on YouTube and I looked for some ideas about where to go next. There's a lovely lady on there who was doing yoga for chronic conditions, Bini yoga, which really helped me because it taught me I did what I could do and I don't go any further. I listened to my edge. She concentrated on breathing as well for people with chronic conditions, and again that really helped me let go. I would do 2 or 3 of her sessions stuck together within a couple of months, so that was half an hour, 40 minutes some mornings. And I was amazed. By April, having started in January, I was picking up, doing any standing poses. I was starting to really get to grips with letting go every morning, and I was seeing the difference in the rest of my life. Found it a lot easier to find things that were just a bit scary in life, or whereas I might have panicked before, I was actually able to listen to my breath, say yes or no, and do it in a very relaxed way. So once I'd got this further, there I was, April or May time, and I thought I can do an hour's lesson. Can I find a beginner's lesson? What do you think? And I found you. So beginner's lessons, it must have been 101, 107, 116, and I know 118 is a beginner's class as well. And that just drew me in. Organic breathing. And oh, yeah, I used that so much over those first 6 months. And I came and I joined the forum, the membership site in the June. And that was, I have to go for it. You kept telling me all these wonderful things about it at the beginning, each of the namaste. Oh, I really want to do that. And I did. I just leapt for it. And yeah, I'm so pleased that I did, because it then gave me someone to talk to and more people to talk to about what I was going through, about learning through yoga, about myself, and about the people around me. And yeah, the membership site has been a crutch and a big hug for the last 3 years almost.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was massive for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not leaving.
Okay, good. You're a really valuable member. I'm glad you're not. So, let's talk a little bit about where we can find you when you're on your on the membership site, because I know we all have our favorite. It's like, it's kind of like a house, right? Or a park or something. We all have our favorite nooks and crannies of the membership site. So, what's your favorite places? A lot of people think of the membership site just as videos, but one thing that I want to communicate to people is that there's really 3 pillars to the membership site. There is the value-added content, but then there's this whole community there. We support. There's a community of support, and when you really tap into that, it's huge. But then there's also support for your personal practice. So there's really, and a lot of people are only tapped into that one aspect of it, the videos, and that's really a small part of it. So, and I know you're tapped into all 3 parts of it.
Yes, I think I was very fortunate when I arrived at the website. That was it. We had to communicate, or we didn't get a lot out of it. There were extra videos. You were loading up your DVDs to download. And there were a couple of retreats that were specifically very helpful to me. That is embracing self and loving kindness. And I came to them through the weekly challenge. I remember a couple of things happened in my life, and you specifically said, Hannah, go and have a look at these retreats. One at a time, in different episodes of my life, you said, go and look at that one, go and look at this one. They will help you. But it was through the weekly challenge. And I look at the weekly challenge every week, and it's, like I said, it is a crutch. If I have a bad few weeks, it might really help to look at the weekly challenge. I may not be able to communicate or see friends for a couple of weeks, but I can talk to them, all of you friends, on the weekly challenge. When we started, that was the chat room, and it helped give me guidance. We walked through the first multi-day series on the weekly challenge, which was the chakras, looking at each chakra individually and really starting to understand the language of yoga was tremendously helpful. And yeah, it gives us a purpose for the week. It helps set up practice for the week if there isn't anything else going on where you need support elsewhere in the practice. Yeah, and I've always, and I will always go back to, if I have to miss a couple of weeks because I need to concentrate on something else, I will always go back to the weekly challenge. I the chats we have.
Yeah, and I just want to point out too, because we've made a couple of changes based on feedback that we've had recently to the weekly challenge. So Ulrika did the weekly challenge this week, and it's been a great discussion this week. One of the things people wanted was, because there is so much choice of content on the membership site, is for us to offer them choice of classes every day. So now you'll see that we are giving you the option of classes for every single day of the week. And that just takes away the choice, so that when you get here, it's already outlined for you. And it's, no matter what day of the week, there's a choice there for you. Then there are questions for you to reflect on based on the theme for the week. And that helps to generate some discussion for the week as well. So I wanted to show that, and also because we feel it's one of the most important parts of our community now, we've moved it up to the top of the site. So it comes right after comes above the videos now, so that we have this community section here right at the top. And then I'm going to show, Hannah mentioned the daily chakra videos. So this comes below, these are the longer videos here in the members videos section. And then below that are the multi-day series. And that was the first series where people have been asking for shorter videos and I had some resistance to that. I had a lot of resistance to it, but I got over it. And you can see I really got over it.
Yeah, just a bit.
And I started making those shorter videos, and here are the chakra videos. And did you want to talk about this class, Hannah?
Yeah, the fifth one,
Okay, go ahead.
Friday's class, that was a massive help to me. I don't really know why I connected with it, but I do know it's a really well-rounded class. Something about Emmy, you don't move your head very much, and you can't speak out for yourself very much because doctors very rarely actually listen. If you have a doctor who understands your problem with a chronic illness, then you're pretty lucky. They don't always hear what you're saying. And sometimes you just can't get to a doctor. So I use the chakra crafts as a sadhana practice, a 40-day practice. And it consistently doing this practice, listening to myself chanting Om, I found my voice where I'd never really heard it before. And yeah, it brought something out of me. And I know those first 6 months on the membership site, I can't see you, Melissa.
I'm still here. There you go. I wanted you to have your voice, you see. That was intentional. You're the teacher right now.
Yeah, I lost my voice, I think, those few years when I was stuck at home, not having anyone listening. And yeah, those first 6 months on the membership site helped me so much. Doing that fifth chakra, such a well-rounded class. We're lying, we're sitting, and we do quite a few poses. And when I first did that, I'd never come across them before. Tigers running through the forest is lovely. Up the back of the head like that with the 10 fingers. And fish pose was new to me, and it was a bit of a struggle at first, but it totally cleared any blockages in my spine, with the twisting to go first, and then the movement in the neck, and really preparing for a pose at the end of a class. Really was brilliant. And I like Shavasana and Crocodile. I do that quite a lot now.
Yeah, so for people who don't know what that means, it means lying on your stomach. It's very grounding.
Yeah, I find that.
And releasing too. You can let a lot go into the ground that way.
Yeah. So yes, one, I would say that's probably my favourite mini class on on the web membership site. We're very fortunate if you pay your fees and you get on the membership. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and yeah, some exciting things on the horizon coming with with mini classes too.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much right now because those of you know that I'm just being patient with my own health right now, and I'm so eager to get behind the camera. I'm just waiting and being patient, and I know that the perfect time will come, but I've got some really exciting things planned to film. So I'm very excited about it.
Mm,
So the weekly
the weekly
challenge,
challenge. Yeah, that's
this
very
is your favorite
helpful.
video. Was there something else you wanted to show people?
Yeah, well, I talk on the today's practice um,
Okay.
link thread as well. I find that helpful. If I'm not doing exactly what is stated in the weekly challenge, or I'm not focusing on something that's definitely elsewhere in the site on a different thread, then I will um, share what I'm doing in my practice. In the last couple of weeks, especially, I've found a great exhaustion coming into me. Um, I I know it's life circumstances that have just left me doing a little bit more. But with that, I've found a real tiredness, and I've shared how I'm coping with that. I'm letting go. I've brought restorative practices into my day in a different way to how I've done it usually. I would say do a restorative practice twice a week, but now I'm doing one every afternoon. And I wanted to share that with everyone because it's, I think it's quite important to not only remember what you do yourself, but to read what other people are doing from their own experience.
Mm-hmm.
It it can really click and say, that's a great idea. I think I
Mm-hmm.
might do that as well.
Yeah.
And I read other people's ideas and what they're doing and pick up a lot because it will really click with my experience. And I know my story must click with other people as well. I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, I agree totally. And that's another part of the community that I think when you tap into, it's a huge, huge benefit. And this, you showing this just reminds me of two things that are a jumping off point for me that I would love to show, because you brought up this fantastic discussion on the restorative classes, and then you spoke about recording your classes. And so that reminded me of two things. So when you spoke of recording your classes and also reading about other people's posts, this morning I just read in response to a blog post that I did this week under my blog. I did this blog post this week, 5 ways to increase your commitment to your practice. And here Janice spoke about having a monthly planner. And it's just a cheap one from the dollar store that has a square for each day of the month, and where then she writes what she practiced each day. And then on the one column, she writes the differences that she notices in her, that she received from her practice. I thought that was just such a great idea. Tracking your practice is amazing. I know it's something that really helps me stay committed to my practice, journaling. But I love the monthly planner, putting it in a monthly planner. I
Yeah.
don't know why I've never done that. It just seems a little more organized. So,
Funnily enough, my husband and I sit down every month, at the beginning of the month, and we write down. Um, we started this because of my health. We know we need to be aware of what's going on, what's going right, how we maybe need to change what we're doing. Um, and we've decided, um, I don't know how long we've been doing it actually, but it's like self-management. We sit down and we say, what's gone right? What's gone wrong? how am I helping myself with the yoga and how can I do it differently? Because that's a big part of my
Mhm,
life.
mhm.
We always mention that in this monthly assessment, and then we say what's important, what would we really like to do? Like, do we want to visit a certain member of the family? Do we want to go out and have a really great time somewhere? And we write that down. Let's do that this month,
It's
and then
beautiful.
it lets go of thinking 6 months ahead and
Hmm.
thinking, we've got to buy a birthday present for 3 months ahead, but I won't think about it now. Or we need to do this in the garden. It's February, we won't do it.
Hmm.
Now it's March, we're thinking, actually, I'll do one job in the garden every week and I'll give myself 10 minutes. And that is all I can do at the moment. So that's all we've written down. And I won't push myself to do more until next month when we reconsider what's going on. And yeah, writing down monthly what happens. And at the moment, I've done 2 weeks of restorative yoga, and that was from us sitting down and chatting.
Wow,
What's going on? How do we need to change it? Let's shift it. So I do this.
that's amazing. I love that tip. It's so important to check in and see what's working and what's not, and to be okay with letting go of what's not. I mean, your practice is going to shift and change. And, one thing I talked about in that blog post too was letting your practice should inspire you, right? So if there's something that's not really inspiring you anymore, it's okay to let it go
Yeah,
and bring in something that's going to inspire you and feed you,
exactly.
nourish you, right? So as you were speaking about the restorative poses, I'm thinking you probably know about this section, but I'm kind of wondering if you do, because you kind of asked about this in that section, which is the community playlist section. Do you know
Oh,
about that?
yes. Yes.
Okay.
I think, when did we set up the restorative one? It may have been about 12 months ago. I was curious whether there was anything new. So I
Mm,
found the Bhagavad Gita classes really helpful.
are
Um,
they not? They're not on that list then?
can't remember
Okay.
the Arjuna and the Krishna classes. I put
Yeah.
those together because it's a restorative poses class and then it's a yoga nidra.
Yes.
Seems
So
I might end up sitting on the sofa, or I might be in Shavasana for the Krishna class. But putting them together is great.
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, one of the things that we've done, because we've got things listed in series, is yeah, it seems like you've got a longer list than I've got here, so I should update it. um, so we've got lists of classes here by type rather than by series. So this can be quite helpful. So there's a restorative list class, but I wanted to draw your attention to a list that I put together yesterday of guided meditations. This is something that we get asked for quite a bit. And when I did it yesterday, we have over 60 guided meditations on our membership site, and I don't think anybody would have guessed that.
No, I wouldn't.
No. So that's something I get asked for a lot, and it makes up over 30% of our membership site.
That's
So there,
amazing.
yeah. So there they all are. And I think, a lot of times people are asking for more content, and yet it really exists here already. So I just wanted to
Wow.
draw attention to that as
Mm.
well. Okay. All right. Thank you. So,
Two other things I think
mhm.
are important to me on the site: the happiest moments
Oh, yes, let's go
thread.
back.
Um, I think especially if I'm having a tough week and suddenly everything seems negative, I
Hmm.
make myself go on the happiest thread and say just the tiniest things that are very important to me and happy. We've got snowdrops in the garden at the moment, and the plum tree outside has just started to blossom, and that does make me so happy. I'm sorry, I haven't written it on the thread.
They have? You're right there.
I haven't written it
Oh, you haven't
on.
written about the snowdrops.
No, I haven't.
You can write
But
that
yeah,
later.
I need to do it more, don't I? But the tiniest things can make me happy, and
Hmm.
it just yeah, I think it is important. It reminds us that the gratitude is important as well.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing about these posts is that they drop us into the present moment. They're beautiful present moment experiences. They're not future goal oriented experiences. They're not, they're just such beautiful, really touching moments. Um, you know,
Being in the now, it's recognizing the present moment as well.
yeah, and it's probably one of the most popular threads on our forum. It's had almost 7,000 views and almost 2,000 posts, so it's a very popular one. It's a very beautiful one. And so it was one that we moved. It was pretty buried before we moved it out into this daily practice section and up to almost the top. We put it right below the weekly challenge. So we really felt it deserved a place of prominence in the forum, and that was something we did recently when we asked a question on My Membership Minute about how we could support your practice more, and that came out of that. Making those changes. We pulled today's practice out, we moved happiest moment of the day up, and we just moved this whole daily section to a place that was way more accessible on the forum to bring community more to the forefront. Yeah. Was there anything else?
I find Ivy's videos really helpful.
Yes, okay, I think those are also in the daily section.
Yes, I think I just saw them.
Devotional offerings and requests, yeah.
I don't have an outlet at the moment for spiritual practice. I used to go to church regularly, but physically I can't do that at the moment. And I find just having that as something that's definitely there for me. And I mean, Ivy's wonderful. I remember you saying she puts them up like clockwork, and yeah, Ivy, we love you. Thank you. It is. It's a blessing, really. I think it's so helpful to a lot of people on the website.
Yeah, her posts are, I know a lot of, myself included, love them. It's a beautiful karma yoga that she offers, and she does. I know they nourish her very deeply as well in her own practice, and yeah, she is like clockwork. Every 2 weeks they come out, and it's amazing. And I also want to show on this thread too, is one of my favorite threads is this devotional thread where you can come and request or offer your support or devote your practice or prayers to people in need. So if there's something going on in your life or somebody around you that you want to request somebody to devote their meditation or yoga practice for, or prayers, you can come here and do that, and then people will do that for you. And this is one of, I think, for me, it's up there with happiest moment of the day in terms of the support the community offers too. That's a really cool thread. Sound good?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. It's like the kind of support you'd get if you met up once a week with a bunch of friends. But we have it every day, every minute.
Yeah, and this part of the community is incredibly powerful because we see time and time again that people request support, and then they come back, and the testimonials that come back, from people that are ill or people that need prayers, and then the transformation that occurs is always just nothing short of a miracle, honestly. So it's a very powerful group too. Yeah. So, was there anything else you wanted to share on the membership site?
I know that Sankalpa classes were
okay, yeah.
to me. We investigated them in the weekly challenge. It wasn't soon after I first joined, and having an intention, a sankalpa, to get me through and really inspire me, um, especially as I've never really come across that before. My first sankalpa was slowing down, and it's an important part of ME. It's recognizing that the body is actually moving quite fast. It might be tense a lot. It might find things difficult. You may need to push through to get things done. But I mean, that's my experience, and it's said a lot on a lot of the research that's done through the illness. Um, and slowing was my first sankalpa, and it helped me if I was just moving between rooms. I noticed because I was so tired, I really wanted to do it quickly, so that then I could rest. But actually, if I slowed down, it was a lot easier. I could move in a more tender way and a loving way, and actually not probably not need so much rest when I'd finished moving between the rooms. Um, yeah, and all the way through since I've been on this site for the last 3 years almost, I've continued to find sankalpas for myself. They do become inspiring, and they help me remember that actually I managed the slowing down, and it took me a while, but it was so incredibly helpful. I know the next sankalpa will also be incredibly helpful and nurture me in a way. Just those words will nurture me, and give me a hug when I forget.
Yeah,
And say, you know, you can do it because you've done it before.
that's amazing.
Through this, you may find it difficult at the moment. Currently, my sankalpa is I am patient. I am true to my needs. And that patience, I've been looking at the patience. Patience has been in my sankalpa for probably almost 2 years. And you know, I injured myself 18 months ago during the seizure, and that taught me a lot. And just looking back now, there's a great deal of learning you can do with perspective. Funnily enough, I did the discernment class this afternoon, and it reminded me how much just zooming out and looking at things from a wider view can give. You know, the learning and the process that goes on with everything that happens. 6 months ago, I was still thinking, I can't get over this, I'm really worried. Patience comes in again. And now, I can now move, I can twist, which I hadn't done. I can remember lying on my back again, actually in comfort. And that took about 15 months to recover, to do that. Lying on my back and getting up again, just because my stomach pain was so bad, it was just impossible. So now I can lie on my back and get up, and I think I've had the patience, and I was true to my needs, and I didn't push myself to make it worse. I mean, there were times I did push myself and I regretted it. You know, nobody's perfect. And it's that process that works, and having that sankalpa, having that reassurance there, does make it easier, most definitely for me.
Yeah, I'm just listening to you, and I'm thinking like that is truly an advanced course in yoga. Thinking, you know, how about, like, I remember when you sent that to me, and I'm thinking, God, like, she can't even lie on her back, like that, you know, what can she do? And you found ways around that, and to be patient with that, and to overcome's not the right word, but to be present with yourself through that. It's just amazing, really. And to not be attached to the outcome too, I think, is really what I'm hearing. You know, that really is the highest level of spiritual teachings offered in the Gita, in Yoga Sutras. Yep, go ahead.
Yes, I think because I've gone with it for so long, and I mentioned on the website just this week that I was first ill when I was 12, and I've learned through the process that things will happen when they're meant to. Um, and it's being able to guide it in the right way. It's a difficult process, but it gets easier. No one's perfect, and I burst into tears and I break down and I need a hug. And some days are more difficult than others because I'm exhausted anyway. Um, but looking at it from a wider perspective, but also focusing on the now. You have
Zooming
to
in and zooming out.
you have to do both, but don't focus so much. So don't focus on the past and think, oh, it was horrible, I hated that. Because actually, there was a lot of joy in it. And even thinking 2 weeks ago, I couldn't really walk to the kitchen, but I can now. That
Yeah.
was little things I had to notice. And now I'm really, really tired. And now I'm having a conversation with Melissa. And it's been like that for 2 weeks. But I'm thinking, if I let go and I let all this go on and happen, and I've actually become friends with the tiredness. It doesn't mean I'm going to be friendly with the tiredness for the rest of my life, and I don't have to be tired for the rest of my life. I'm friends with it at the moment, and it will come and it will go. And when it comes, I have to recognize it, accept it, and say, this is how it is. This is how I feel it. It's taken me about 5 days to go, oh, it's here. I need to embrace it and show me what to do.
And rest, yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of years ago. I had a student at a retreat, and she was exhausted. She was just exhausted. And I remember saying to her, well, and she was able-bodied and healthy, but exhausted. And I said to her, what would it be like to just go into child's pose until you weren't tired anymore? And she was just, there was this huge amount of fear in her that if she went into child's pose, she would never get out, like the exhaustion would never be gone. And I mean, this goes back to Ulrika's post, her weekly challenge for this week, that around trust. If we can really trust in our body's messages and, trust that our body is telling us what we need, and that if we rest, that the tiredness will eventually go away. We will eventually restore.
It's telling you what to do.
Right?
It's telling me, I'm sorry, I need to go and have a lie down. All right then. And yeah, that is it. The body sends you messages, and if you don't do it, it'll just make you more tired. And then it will say,
the messages will get louder.
I'm tired, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to listen. Wow, you're more tired, aren't you? I'll just let you fall over instead.
Yeah. Then it's a seizure for you, right?
Learning to listen to the body and take note of the messages takes a long time, but it works in the end. And yoga gave me that. I'd forgotten to listen. My mum is an amazing lady. She's been with me through all of this, and I can just tell by the look on her face sometimes, you're not listening, are you? And that's what happened about 3 years ago. I was so exhausted. No, it was 5 years ago. I was so exhausted, and I was still trying to do so much stuff. I'm sure I wrote about this week. I've gone to the doctors, and he said, go and do some exercise.
You'll feel better.
You'll feel better if you do some exercise. And I thought, yeah, right.
I had a neurologist tell me that once.
And she said, you what? And she looked at me. She half wanted to laugh. The look on her face, it was, I'll never forget it. It was desperation. It was love. And I can't tell you, Hannah, you've got to learn yourself and listen, But that look on her face, it made me actually sit upright and go, what am I doing? I can't hold my head up. I'm sitting here like this all the time. And almost falling asleep when I sat down. And yeah, so I said no to everything. And Nick and I kind of, yeah, that's a good idea. And we took everything out of my agenda. And within about 3 months, I was flat. My body had said, great, you're listening. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I did. I was in bed for 3 months. And again, the doctors wouldn't listen. They said, you can't have a wheelchair. What are you talking about? You got to leave the house and you got to start walking. And that happened in a roller coaster. And they'd said, you start walking again, otherwise you're not going to walk ever again. But they wouldn't listen. So it was when I read those books and we'd had so much problem and I thought yoga might be the answer, that I found this awareness with my breath and listening to my breath and hearing my heart, finding the intuition in here. Actually, I listened to myself. And I mean, everybody in all walks of life can do the same. My husband, he'll look at me and he's got a twitch on his eye or he's just grizzly or something. And I'll say to him, you need a rest, take a couple of days off work. And he'll go, yeah, oh, please. And he'll book some holiday for the next week and he'll chill. And that's what we need. So, yeah, if everyone needs it, and I can see it myself in my husband, it's listening to the body that I find so important.
Yeah. And, you know, to bring it just back to this setting intention, I'm just going to bring it back to this. You know, you can do it as a daily practice, and it was something that I recommended when I put that playlist together yesterday. This is a 16-minute meditation to set your intention for the day. And it just lets you look ahead at your day and visualize what's going to happen that day and how you want the outcome of the day to be. And it lets you set your intention for the day, connect with your day. And I know when we do the Mentor with Melissa course, they do this, I think, for a week, but it's profound. If you did this for a 30-day practice, I think you'd have amazing shifts in your life. You know, that would be a beautiful 30 or 40-day practice, 16 minutes out of your day.
Yes, I didn't realize I was doing a sadhana with a loving kindness meditation. I can't remember when that was. That must have been summer 2012, and I'd chosen my Sankalpa by that time. And I was doing the loving kindness meditation every day, and I was slipping. I am slowing down into that. And joining them together was so incredibly helpful. As the Yoga Nidra is all about intention and resting, and yeah, I mean that's available on the website as well.
Yeah, the Yoga Nidra. Yeah, I put that on that playlist too. It's on the playlist. Yeah, and I love that. I started kind of changing up the Yoga Nidras too. We've got a healing Yoga Nidra now. I've got a loving kindness Yoga Nidra as well. They're on that playlist that I showed you as well. So I think you can definitely drop your intention into your Yoga Nidras. It's you can kind of make them your own. It's a really nice practice. Yeah. I see we're kind of closing in on our hour here, and I'd like to, you know, I know we all come from this community around the world, and I'd like people to know a little bit about your life outside of the community as well. So I'd like for people to know where you're from, some things you do outside of the community, and your family outside of the community too. So if you want to tell people a little bit about that.
Okay, I live in the UK. in the south, in Hampshire, which is a county of the UK. Um, I live in a little town of 4,500 people called Whitchurch, and it is a bustling community. It's a very old town. The church is about 1,250 years old, but there were Iron Age settlements and Roman settlement church, and it really took off with the sheep fair after the Black Death, which is really nice. But we've had 10 pubs when I was growing up, and that's lessened to 5 now. But it's a bustling centre where people come through. It's a crossroads to other larger towns, and primary schools, secondary schools, with so many clubs and societies and community centres. If I was able to get out there, I'd really hone in on so many of them. But hearing about them all from my friends and hearing about what goes on, it's a great town to be in. You certainly don't miss out. I love my garden. Do what I can. Over the last 9 years we've been here, we've really helped create a maintainable garden. So we've got raised beds. We've covered up some of the lawn with gravel and bark areas. And it's really mine now. I love the fact that I've planted the trees. I've set up the flower beds with the flowers and the herbs and everything that I like. And it changes every year because the vegetables go on rotation and I move them all about. So we have a lady who comes and helps every week, and she does the heavy stuff and I choose where it all goes, and we have great fun out there because then it's a beautiful place to sit and a beautiful place for the wildlife. Nick, being a big butterfly and moth person, since he was a child, he's got all these lovely old books. So finding all that kind of thing in the garden as well, that's a real incentive to get out there, see what's going on, and encourage all the wildlife as well. What else do I do? I'm a knitter, and a sewer. I'm a crafter all round, really. These paintings behind me are mine. I haven't got the painting out for a while because I do like using the large canvases and getting them out and putting them away, and having the space is quite difficult. But yeah, sewing. At the moment I'm doing small projects, so I'm knitting squares to make a blanket. It doesn't matter how long it takes. I do a square at a time, and I appreciate being able to do that. And sewing, my project at the moment is taking a zip out of a dress and putting it back in for my sister. So I'm doing that by hand, which actually I quite enjoy. It's a real achievement to make something. She said it was going to cost about £35 for someone to do it in a
Wow.
and there's a zip on eBay for £1.67. I think I'll do it for you. So she gave me the dress last time I saw her, and I'm taking it back when we see her again.
Nice.
That's another passion of mine, my family. I'm very lucky. My sister isn't that far away, considering the size of North America. She's 2 hours drive. And yeah, we visit quite regularly. She's got a husband and a son and a daughter who are still quite young, so they're bouncing about every time we see them, and that's Auntie Hannah and Uncle Nick going down and staying nearby for a few days at a time, and I really enjoy that. That's a big part of my life, supporting her and being able to be there for her. I enjoy reading. I've not been able to read for a long time, and a lot of it I've had with Nick reading or using audiobooks, but just recently I've been able to pick up fiction again, and in that respect I've said I'm not reading any non-fiction. I can get all the information elsewhere.
Hmm.
So I'm really enjoying reading for myself, for fun, to learn um, just through creativity and from other people's imagination, and I love that. So I've had a few great books over the last 6 months, and that's really filled my life in a way I've not experienced really since I was a child.
It's so great.
Mm.
It's great. Um, is there anything else that you want people to know or that you want to leave us with as we close out?
Um, no, there's so many important things on the website. Loving kindness, breath, letting go. That's one of the first classes that I did. Breathe, love, and let go. And
Yeah.
it's been such a massive thing in my life to be aware of my breath, to self and others loving kindness, and to let go. Because I mean that doesn't just mean in the body with attention. It's the forgiveness and the surrender of what may have happened in the past, and that's a massive thing. Um, I think all of the Prince yoga, the John Kabat-Zinn series that you did.
Hmm.
Uh, that must be 140, maybe 140 club. I
Yeah.
can't
See,
remember.
that was the Keeping It Real series.
Yeah, and it was very much all the intentions that come with the yamas and niyamas
Hmm.
that John Kabat-Zinn put together in a book. And I think um, just approaching that non-judgment, non-striving, loving, um, it just brought me back to reality, keeping it real.
Hmm.
We all have these problems in life, and that I found yoga can really help me actually come back to basics and keep it real for myself. Um, yeah, you've been an amazing help, Melissa.
Well, it's just been, to me, it's been amazing to witness your transformation. We should we share our my
We've come a long
folly?
way.
This is Hannah's second time through this interview. So last week we did it once and I didn't hit record. So last week
You
I
forgot to
said,
press record. Yes, you did.
huh?
You forgot to press
I
record.
forgot to
Let
press
everybody
record.
hear
So
it.
I last week the interview was just for me to hear all Hannah's amazing story, and the thing that I one thing I said last week and was that you know the transformation that I witnessed in Hannah has been amazing, and I think uh, you know it was so rapid at the beginning. And then it's just deepened so much over time. And it's just
Yeah,
been amazing to witness.
I think I recognized it when it was starting to happen. And now, like you say, I feel it in my soul. Uh, I can so easily switch it on. And yeah, I don't know how to give thanks for that because it's something that I just wasn't expecting.
Hmm.
A yoga mat, a bolster, and a couple of blocks, but it's given me so much more.
Yeah, it's
I'm
truly
gonna burst into tears.
well, it's something really to be incredibly grateful for, right? Like
Oh, yes.
I think at the beginning about how it's about giving up. About how for me at the beginning it's about being able to let go of Mars bars and caffeine, and then and then it becomes something so much more meaningful. And I
Mm,
don't know, mine I see yours as like being like descending in the ocean. And then I feel like mine's like more like, I don't know, you probably feel like this about yours too, but mine feels like these stairs. It feels much more jagged.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's saying, oh wow, I've done so amazing. I've had a wonderful couple of weeks. And then, boom, something else happens and you go, what?
Yeah.
And you've got to climb another step. And it's very much like that because
Yeah.
it's all a learning process, the journey of life. But yeah, coming up against something, I haven't got quite such a step to climb anymore. And then something else happens and it's a smaller step. That's what I'm seeing. Um, uh, I did start writing a blog pretty much the same time that I started yoga actually, and it was about AME recovery, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to do wonderfully.
Yeah.
And then I've come to realise that obviously I've got epilepsy in my life as well, and it was letting go of what I imagined would be brave warrior Hannah, who would, reach the sky and run a marathon. Who knows?
Oh my God, I let go of that archetype too, the Melissa that was going to run the marathon too.
There you are.
Yeah.
That's the thing. See, I've seen you grow too. It's mutual respect association.
Respect.
Yeah. So yoga makes everything better. Just like Donna's wonderful T-shirt.
Yeah,
Because
it's true.
makes it easier too.
Yeah, and it is that letting go of it is that letting go of outcome. It really is.
Yeah.
It is letting go of it needing to be better.
Yeah. There's so many things happen. I mean, we had an accident with the car a couple of weeks ago, and we went, oh dear, never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen when the garage looks at the car. Whatever happens will happen.
Yeah.
And I think before we would both have burst into tears, really out. But the patience and letting go of outcome and not striving for the perfect answer.
Yeah, the striving is huge. Yeah,
It's easier ride.
for sure. Well, Hannah, thank you so much. I know you've given so much to our members through this interview. You gave me so much last week, so thank you for that. And being part of our community happens after, just like me. And oh God, Michelle wrote this beautiful post this week about Sangha community and trees and a forest and a garden and flowers, and you're such a beautiful flower in our community, and as are all our members in our community, and how our practices and our comments contribute to that garden. So I would love for all of our trees and flowers, or however you identify in our community, maybe you're a worm and making compost, maybe you're a butterfly.
We all give different things. That's an important part of the community.
Maybe you're a ray of sunshine, maybe you're the rain, maybe you're a cloud. And you can be different things at different times, right? So come on over, whatever part of the garden you are, and join in this conversation, and let us know how it was for you to get to know one of our... What are you today, Hannah? What part of the garden are you?
I'm probably an exhausted flower who's
You're a droopy flower today.
Yeah. It's nice.
Hannah needs some raindrops today. So come be a raindrop and let Hannah know how she inspired you and motivated you in your practice. And really come into the garden and let us know how getting to know one of our fellow yogis helped you. So here's the call to action. Respond here. Let Hannah know if you have any questions for her. And even if you've never posted on the forum before, come into our garden in this way. Take a chance and respond this time, because it is your presence in our garden is valuable to us. When you take the time to respond, as Hannah and I talked about, we all we all flourish. Our droopy flowers all lift towards the sun. So we all grow together. And so leave a comment and be part of this conversation. I'm so looking forward to hearing how you respond to our first Just Like Me meetup. And my intention is to do one of these a week for you. So I look forward to your responses about that. Thanks, Hannah.
Welcome.
Much love to you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.